If you find yourself looking for Raiders podcasts, listening to random Raiders content, if you want news, rumors, videos 100% free, I promise you this. You won't find another YouTube channel out there that is as dedicated, has that commitment to excellence as the Raiders Report. Let me prove it to you. Hit that sub button, turn on those notifications. That way you never miss a thing. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com where you can get 20% off and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. It's 4th of July, y'all. Hopefully you guys are having an awesome time, and hopefully your Ken Stabler isn't living inside a George W. Bush. Get rid of the bush with the Lawnmower 4.0 at manscaped.com. Use code Raiders. And also, can I get some USAs or some American flags in my comment section? Because as far as I'm concerned, we live in the greatest country in the entire world. Coming up here on today's show, I got NFL trade candidates. Bleacher Report released an article, which I kind of talked about yesterday on the show because they mentioned Clelin Ferrell. What I figured I would do today is go a little bit further beyond that. So they released an article with one player from each NFL team that each NFL team should consider trading before the 2022 season. What I'm going to show you is all 32 NFL trade candidates via Bleacher Report. Then I'm going to pick out 5 players that I believe are the players that Las Vegas should target and are realistic trade targets. So let's roll through some of these teams right here. And if you're wondering what's the order, it's based on alphabetical order. So Arizona, Atlanta. Okay, you're following along with me. Now, I'm not going to have trades in here for guys like Baker Mayfield because guess what? Raiders aren't trading for Baker Mayfield. Sorry if you were hoping that they would get Ezekiel Elliott. That one's not going to happen either. You're also not going to see trades for teams within our division because, let's face it, the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Chargers, they're not going to trade those players because they don't want us to get better in those areas from top to bottom. So, when you think about all the names, and I believe there's one more list 8 to show of some names, I'm going to rank these guys from 5 all the way down to 1. So hopefully you enjoyed today's show. So after seeing those 32 names, I told you, we're not going to trade for a quarterback. We're not going to trade with anybody in our division, and you're obviously not going to trade for Clelin Ferrell because he was also on that list. So from those guys, who should the Raiders trade for? The Raiders Report is built on the backs of the nation. I want to know what you guys are thinking, and then I'll give you my 5 names. So coming up right now, we got trade candidates that Las Vegas could target, and I really tried to make these realistic. We are going to go from 5, and we're going to work our way down to 1. I'll also tell you how much I would give up for each player. Coming in here at number 5 for my Raiders trade targets, it's Andy Isabella, and for those who don't know, I'm a big fan of Isabella. I liked him a lot when he was first coming out of college. Small school dude. He is a tiny receiver. But you know what? He's good in the slot, and he's got 4.31 speed. I think of Andy Isabella, and just to be honest with y'all, I think of Hunter Renfrow, 2 white slot receivers who are good route runners, who have some speed, and I know that Josh McDaniels can build his offense around these 2 guys. If the Raiders trade for him, to be honest, I don't even know if it guarantees a spot because you got Demarcus Robinson, you got Keelan Cole, you got Matt Collins. But I'll also say this. The fact that Arizona traded for Marquise Hollywood Brown, I'm a big believer that you could get Isabella, who was drafted in the 2nd round, pretty cheap right now. And this is what I would offer for him. If you're telling me I could get him for a 7th round pick, I would do it. And when you talk about a lot of NFL teams at this current juncture in the offseason, if they're not confident the dude's going to make the final 53, you see him start shipping off some people. Hell, I'm going to do Andy Isabella, Clelin Ferrell straight up. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Before I give you my next 4 names, Manscaped, y'all. This is the place to be. 4th of July, a lot of fireworks. And if you're really hoping for a big bang, you know, seriously, a big bang. My favorite of the fireworks to go like this, but you know what I'm talking about. It's manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping. Promo code Raiders. You're going to get your hands on the performance package. I recommend ball toner. I recommend ball deodorant. And the simple way that I literally tell people all the time of why you need those 2 products alone, take your hand, put it in your pants, and then smell your fingers. If it doesn't smell good, it's because, well, There's Famunda cheese under there. Get rid of it. You put deodorant under your armpits. Why wouldn't you put it on your balls too? I promise you, once you start, you will not ever change. Imagine leaving on a 100-degree weather day, not putting on deodorant under your armpits. You're like, that's crazy. That's what I tell people now that don't put deodorant and don't put ball toner on their balls. Promo code Raiders, you can thank me later. Let's go to number 4, perfect name for today's show. It's Devin Bush. Maybe we should have just called him Devin because we're getting rid of all the Bush here on our Raiders trade targets presented by Manscaped. 5'11", 230-pounder coming out of Michigan. And in his first year in the NFL, he had over 100 tackles. He is an undersized linebacker. But when he was first coming out from the Wolverines, I told y'all, sideline to sideline, this kid's got legit 4.4 speed. Then he had an ACL injury in 2020, suffered a little bit of a setback last season, and if I was going to trade for Bush, I would put him as an outside linebacker. Why? I like our inside linebackers. They're more the run stoppers. But if you want to have a defense that can be versatile, if you want to have a defense that runs 3-4 fronts, I believe Devin Bush's best athletic traits, even though he is undersized, is getting after the quarterback. I don't want to drop him back into coverage anymore. I don't want to have him in running situations. If you can allow him to pin his ears back, use his athletic ability to get after the quarterback, that's how you're going to use him the best. So for that reason, I would be willing to give up a 6th-round pick. He was drafted, I believe, 25 overall by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2019. Don't quote me on the exact overall, but I know he was a first-round pick. Yes, the ACL injury does scare me a little bit. It zaps some of his athletic ability, but for a 6th-round pick to be a merely just an edge rusher, I always say it, you can't have enough edge rushers. So today, y'all, is July 4th. Happy 4th of July to everyone out there. Major shout-out to my friends, my family back home in Danville, PA. Mom, Dad, Grandma, I miss you all very, very much. I wish I was with you, but also to the nation. You guys are watching this. Hopefully you're having a hell of a day. Hopefully maybe added some hot dogs or burgers, whatever you're cooking up. Happy 4th of July to the nation. Let's go to number 3 on my list. It's Laviska Shenault Jr., and one of the things that I looked at in this video, and it's especially with Shenault, is value. I am all about value. I look at value for the draft. I look at value for free agency. I am all about getting a good deal. And right now, I believe every NFL team could get a very good deal on Shenault. Last season, he had 63 grabs, 619 yards, no touchdowns. As a rookie, 5 touchdowns, over 600 receiving yards. You got to think about the numbers that this guy put up. With the situation he had with Urban Meyer, Trevor Lawrence was an absolute joke, and there was a lot of moving parts. So how would he fit with our team? Personally, if you're going to give Hunter Renfrow a new extension, I don't really want him back there as a punt returner, as a kick returner. You could put him, and we're talking about Shenault, you could put him as your punt returner, as your kick returner. Also, he was a 2nd-round pick, 42 overall. I love his versatility that he brings. He's better than Demarcus Robinson. He's better than Keelan Cole. You know how much I like Cole. He's better than Matt Collins. And I really think that right now you could get him for a 5th-round pick. Why? The Jags have Marvin Jones, who's probably their 3rd. They signed Zay Jones to a big deal. They signed Christian Kirk to a big deal. Travis Etienne, who they drafted last season, he's going to be healthy, and there was already reports that they were lining him up at wide receiver. You're talking about Shenault, who's probably going to be your 5th option in that offense. Shenault is good enough to run the football, catch the football. Look at the highlight tapes that man had out of college. We got 2 more names coming up here for Raiders trade candidates via the Bleacher Report article, but always remember, I appreciate you guys. I respect the hell out of all y'all. And if you want a shout out on a future Raiders Report show, give me a follow on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365. All right, the final 2 names are the ones that I think are probably the ones that make the most sense for the Silver and Black. I got Bradley Robby on this list from the New Orleans Saints, and it's because New Orleans' defense is stacked. No other way to look at it. The Saints' defense is loaded, and it's especially loaded at the cornerback position. When you talk about somebody like Bradley Robby, I like the idea of throwing him in on the outside. No, I'm not saying he's going to play over Nate Hobbs, but what do we want? Versatility. I think every time I say versatility from now on, we're going to have to start drinking. Versatility is what I want. I also want extra depth. And right now, if you were to put Bradley on this team, I think he's right up there with Anthony Averett. I think he's better than Darius Phillips personally. And if you want to be confident in 5 cornerbacks on your roster, if Trayvon Mullen's healthy, then sure, we have extra depth. But what happens if he's not healthy? Then you're in a little bit of a sticky situation. Personally, I'd offer a 5th rounder for Bradley. Not 100% sure if the Saints would agree to it, but hey, it's okay. I'm not going to give up a 4th for him. But if the Saints were willing to give me Bradley Robby for a 5th round pick, and I can help make that secondary a little bit better against Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Russell Wilson, call me crazy, but I'm going to do it. The final name here for my Raiders trade candidates from the Bleacher Report article is Robert Quinn. And Robert Quinn has ties to Champ Kelly. Robert Quinn is coming off a career year where he had 18.5 sacks, 49 tackles. What makes this one interesting is if you put Quinn at defensive end, this then allows Chandler Jones to be a little bit more of a stand-up outside linebacker, which kind of like him in that role personally. And then you have Max Crosby next to Quinn. You also have Robert Quinn, who has familiarity with Bilal Nichols, who the Raiders side at defensive tackle. What happens if, like, God forbid, Crosby or Chandler Jones go down? That means either Cleveland Ferrell, Tayshaun Bauer, Malcolm Kuntz, or Gary Green are going to be relied upon. I'm sorry, I don't want to have to rely on any of those players to be a starting caliber dude. And if that were to happen, then you probably would go out and try to make a trade. So for the Chicago Bears, who just had a brand new GM, you got a brand new head coach, why would they not want to look to add some extra draft capital? Because Matt Eberflus has always been somebody that wants to add extra draft capital. So how about we offer a 2nd round pick? And for some of you, like, man, 2nd round pick for a 30-year-old? I know. But you offer a 2nd rounder. I ain't giving up a 1st. And they're not going to take anything less than a 2nd rounder, if we're being honest. The guy had 18.5 sacks last season. You offer the 2nd round pick. You pay him, let's say, a 2, maybe a 3-year style of a contract. He's going to want a very similar deal, I believe, to Chandler Jones. Though I wouldn't give him as much money as Jones. I'd give him a little bit less. You're probably talking like 3 years, $45 million. You give him some extra money up front. But the Raiders have the means to do it. And if you're in win now mode with Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler, I think if the option's there, you take it. So here are my 5 trade targets based on that Bleacher Report article. I had Andy Isabella at 5, the Arizona Cardinals wide receiver. Devin Bush, linebacker from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Laviska Shenault, wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bradley Robby, cornerback for the New Orleans Saints. And then to round out the list, Robert Quinn, defensive end from the Chicago Bears.